live, and I get to say, and we're live.
Oh,
Click. And we're live. It is Saturday, February 27th, 2021, 5:01 p.m. It is a hammock day. It is almost warm out enough outside to return to the bamboo studio.
No. Shut the front door. Really?
It is. It's quite warm in DC. And we are going to do that as soon as it is possible. But Kate has the monologue today, so I'm going to sit back and sip this wine, and Kate is going to take the monologue.
Okay. So some of you might know that I knit and crochet. We've mentioned it a few times in the show. There were a bunch of knitting books that I wanted to read, and so I bought a bunch of them used, and one of them was this like seemingly completely fine book called Custom Knits, right? And then I opened Custom Knits and started leafing through it, and this was the first thing that I saw. And I was like, why
It's a
is
robe.
that lady... No, it's not a robe, it's a sweater. Why
It's a
isn't
sweater
she...
robe.
Why doesn't she have pants on? Like, I don't understand.
It's COVID,
Okay.
man. Nobody wears pants
I know
anymore.
this was not a COVID and then like it just got like kind of crazier and crazier, and it was just like this kind of ridiculous story of sexy knitwear photo shoots in which almost no one in this photo shoot thing in like this thing was like wearing pants, and for like no good reason. Like, here's a girl wearing a knit thing, no pants. Like, and there's her boyfriend in the back playing the guitar. I have no idea why.
Because it's COVID. They're trying to say to you, you
This was
can...
like from 5 years ago.
Yeah, but they knew
book.
COVID was coming.
Oh.
It's the perfect knitting book for COVID.
Why? Why is this woman wearing a knit sweater?
Because, you know, a knitting book for our age.
Oh my God, it gets better. Hold on. It's just absurd. This was Tim Miller's favorite, which was the pool boy behind the...
But wait, she's wearing pants.
She's wearing pants. It's true. She's wearing pants. Wait,
because there's a pool boy behind.
Yes,
so
of course.
It's
yes, exactly.
You gotta wear pants for the pool boy.
This lady was my maybe absolute favorite, which is like you've decided to like put on this like custom made tuxedo knit sweater vest on top of your boyfriend's, like your casual boyfriend's oversized like button down with no pants, and get cereal.
And the bowl of cereal in the way so that there's a question of whether you're even wearing underwear.
And then there was just like this. And I was just like, is this about a sweater anymore? Like, I just don't understand what this knitting book is. And so this was kind of my day in which I was like, sure, like you could totally, here's me and my surfboard and no pants with my knitting sweater. And I'm like, why would you go to the beach and surf in a fucking sweater? That's the worst idea ever.
So I have a question, Kate.
Yes. Oh wait, hold on. Look at this. This lady's not wearing anything but, I don't even think it's a sweater. It's a sweater.
It's a knitted bra. Okay. I have a question here. What is this about? It predates COVID, you say.
Oh yeah. No, this is just, it's actually kind of cute and lighthearted and funny. Like that there was, oh, hold on, I missed my favorite, which was the lady taking selfies of herself with a Polaroid camera while in her underwear lying on her floor wearing a sweater. Hold on. There we go. Come on.
So are any of the models normally attired, or are they all missing pants?
Like, I would say it's 50-50. Like, they don't, and like the ones, and I'm not going to get into it because we don't want to make this the entire show, but like the ones that are wearing pants are like doing other weird things, like flanked by people that look like they're like a biker gang, or have like a man standing around doing something weird in the background. And mostly I just kind of think that it's I just kind of thought it was like a very, like, I had like gotten four knitting books and I'd been like flipping through them all, and this was like the last one, and they're all kind of like predictably like ugly knitting patterns, and like a beautiful woman wearing something ugly, and you have to be like, is it pretty or is like she pretty, and like make this trade off and try to decide whether you want to knit it.
So does
And
it make you, here's the question, does it make you want to knit all these things and take selfies? Um,
no. Absolutely not. And I think that it just kind of, it actually just, some of them are actually quite nice. They are nicer than like a lot of the ones in like the other crazy books that I have, which are kind of like, I don't know, you do just kind of trend towards like a hippie kind of medium of like knitwear. Like that's like kind of that I'm not really interested in. Um, but yeah, no, they're not that great. It just was like, I just was like looking through it and I was like, no one is going to believe me when I tell them that there's like this pornographic knitting
so
pattern
you
book.
did a Twitter thread about it?
Yeah.
That
And then
seems like the only responsible response. Yeah.
I wasn't even going to post pictures, but then like people clearly were like not appreciating how pantsless they were. They were sending me pictures of like people wearing knit dresses or knit skirts. And I was like, no, no, like, that's not what I'm talking about. Like, only a sweater and like bikini bottoms. Like, it's not
So
like a,
I have a serious question because I have never looked at a knitting book. Uh, is knitting porn not a thing?
not that I knew of. And I mean, like, if it was like a thing, it was mostly like for me, knitting porn is piles and piles of beautiful yarn and like in these crazy colors, right? Like, it's not about like actual humans at all. Um, but
It's about sheep
yes, exactly. And
and
but
alpacas.
and alpacas. Alpacas are taking over, Ben.
Alpacas are great. I love
Yeah,
alpacas.
I know,
I
me
would put
too.
one in my backyard if it
If
were
you were
legal.
zoned,
If
if
it
it were
were
legal,
legal in the
yeah, I know.
district.
So would John. You know, they're very good at protecting sheep. They
And
will like
they're
kick the heck out of them,
and
or
they're
wolves and stuff.
they're very loyal to humans. And when I was a small child, my mother took me to a petting zoo, and I met a baby alpaca, and it was very warm and friendly. And I have loved llamas and alpacas ever since. And just so that you know,
Hmm.
the alpaca and the llama are the closest living non-extinct relatives of the camel.
No, is that true? I
Yes,
didn't know that.
yeah, different
Oh,
continents, but they are reasonably closely related.
my brother, when we were kids, there was a the local humane society which had like a barnyard element to it, had a camp, a summer camp for kids. And my brother went to it for a number of years. He was a huge and still is a huge animal lover. It's like runs in the family. And but he fell in love with a miniature donkey named Stella and made her took a polar there's a Polaroid picture of my brother with like little cowboy boots and like a little like straw like cowboy hat standing next to like Stella, hugging her neck, and my brother made a popsicle, like a popsicle stick, like picture frame out of like kind of really cute that had like Stella and then like hearts around. He was like 6 or 7. Like it was very cute, but it was like our whole family has like a joke about Stella now and like my brother's love
Excellent.
for her. Yeah, it's
So,
like
but Kate, there's something important you have not brought this story around to.
oh, what? Oh, we are not allowed to have fun anymore. But in lieu of fun, it is a
This
total.
actually is not a bad surrogate for fun.
Yeah, this is
Um,
actually pretty funny. Like this is
yeah.
you have Ben and I riffing on our random ass Saturdays.
And they
So
clearly had fun making that catalog.
I mean, like I kind of admire them. Like I like love that this one was like, everything they told you about knitwear throw it out. I want you to be sexy as fuck. I just want you to like and like, it was, I mean, it's good. It's like the best there. It was a very good. I'm gonna save the book. I now have. I'm pretty impressed. So
All right. Well, so there is an agenda item on the table put there by
by you.
by me, for everybody who has not yet voted. A serious question for everyone: is it time for us to bring back Pugilism Week? Pugilism Week is currently winning by about a 2-1 vote. Pugilism Week, for those who don't remember it, is we bring on guests who might be inclined to disagree about somebody, and we let them at each other. It is the first time we did Pugilism Week. It is how we introduced Scott Shapiro to the audience. We had him
Oren Kerr.
with Oren Kerr, just arguing about nothing in particular, just seeing who could say mean things about each other.
The fastest. Yeah, that was pretty fun.
Yeah, it was pretty great, especially because they don't disagree about much. So that but we so here is my question to everybody, and if you have a suggestion for Pugilism Week, particularly involving people we know, because Richard Wattenbarger, Glenn Greenwald is never under any circumstances coming on this show, because
Sorry,
there are certain standards that need to be maintained even during Pugilism Week. But the idea of having, for example, Preet and Tom Nichols debate Indian food seems like a good idea. I think having as a general matter,
David French and Scott Shapiro just went head to head on the Syria bombing, although that's very serious and not very fun. So
yeah, I mean, I think
food.
There's sort of a few good models of Pugilism Week. One is people who actually have a serious substantive disagreement. The second is people who are we can square off on a totally trivial subject and will defend it. For example, every year there is a real debate on Twitter. People seem to care between people who think that Die Hard is and is not a Christmas movie.
Oh, we should have my friend Cosmo on to talk about that.
Yeah, people know.
Cosmo did a 12 Days of Die Hard YouTube series in which he analyzed it from like a literary point of view of whether or not it was or was not a Christmas movie, and then like I don't know, it's really good. Anyway, so we could definitely do that.
The third is people who organically just have been fighting with each other. We invite them to Pugilism Week to continue their fight. But there are certain rules that we observe. The no assholes rule still applies on In Lieu of Fun. We just don't have assholes on In Lieu of Fun. And there are certain things that are, come on, we have to maintain certain standards. We're not going to have a Latkes versus Hamantashen debate, even though it's Purim. And
what is it?
Jews have this endless debate about latkes versus hamantashen, and it's ridiculous, and we shouldn't countenance that.
Why can't you have both?
Spoken like a non-Jew, exactly the right answer. And there's there's no point in having this debate. It's a very stupid debate because everybody who engages in the debate, in fact, eats both of them. And by the way, both latkes and hamantashen are Ashkenazic, not Sephardic food, and so it's just a very silly thing. So Now Caroline here has a CIA versus FBI,
Oh,
and
that would be fun.
even if she's using it as an excuse to get us to have Struck back, it's still like a good concept.
Or John Cipher. I love John Cipher.
Yeah, but that's not her ulterior motive.
Oh, I don't
She's always advocating to have Pete Struck back.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't been following that part of it. Caroline, you tricked me. No.
Yes. So, with that said, if you have good suggestions for Pugilism Week, put them in the Q&A, and we'll bring you on to talk about them.
Yeah.
All right. So Christopher Argyris has a good Pugilism Week suggestion, which we are going to begin with. Richard Wattenbarger has one, Barger, and we're going to bring him on to talk about it. Richard.
Hello. Oh,
You're in the black.
there you go.
There you go.
Oh, you're doing your Daniel Burge impression here. The whole
You cannot
backlit.
keep dragging Daniel
There we go.
Bird.
Oh, Daniel knows it is said with love, and that it is in honor of him that we call backlit dark individuals who blend in with their surroundings Daniel Burge impersonations. Richard Wattenbarger.
Hello.
Your idea for Pugilism Week.
Are we saying your name correctly now?
Oh, I had my idea. Yes, it is. And I looked it up, Ben. I was wrong about soft G and hard G, and so I feel
We
like
blame you.
Wait, you mispronounced your own name?
Oh my God.
No, I misidentified the pronunciation of the G.
You told me it was a soft G, meaning that it was a hard G, and
That's
thus
right.
misled me into mispronouncing it for several months.
Well, yes, that's exactly right.
Excellent.
It was
I think that's the kind of
That's the best possible situation.
this is the kind of accountability we want on In Lieu of Fun, where people where people mislead others into sin and then acknowledge it. I think that's the perfect outcome. So you get nobody having done anything wrong, yet an egregious error having been perpetrated over time, and then everybody acknowledges it. It's great. This is how life should work.
Yeah, but this is like the second time I've been wrong in life. So
the first being when you joined a cult.
Yes, right. So I don't know. It just seems like "g" should be a soft G because it just feels soft, but I guess it's hard.
All glottal stops are hard.
I've never understood this.
So that's why
anything you say in the back of your mouth. I mean, there's the one exception is "h," but if it's a "g" or a "k" or these are all hard sounds.
Okay. I don't know why they call them hard, but anyway. Yeah, go figure.
Your idea.
I was suggesting campus cancel culture. If it is a thing or not, but I'm not sure who would be good guests for that. I mean, yes, there are a lot of guests possible, but I'm not sure.
Charles Murray. No, I'm just joking. No.
He's not on campus.
That's true.
So if we're gonna so here's the thing. I like this idea. I think it's a great subject to debate, but I think if we're gonna debate it, we want it more thoughtful than, yes, this is a problem. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Right. No, it's not. And so the interesting thing would be to have like who is the I know lots of people who are thoughtful and careful on the this is a problem side. Um, the John Roushes,
Right.
but who is the most thoughtful person on the this isn't a problem, this is a reasonable transition we're going through um, side of this that is um, uh, um, that will actually defend the proposition that there's no real problem here.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was.
Go ahead.
What do you think? No, no, Richard, what do you think?
Well, I'm sure there are people out there, but the thing is that the people that I see who say it isn't a problem are usually can be very nasty and vociferous on Twitter, and so you want someone thoughtful. So.
There is Hi-Fi Nation, which is a pretty good podcast, has done some work on this. But I was also going to say John McWhorter and Glenn Lowry have both done a fair amount of work on this, and like the power of like non kind of cancel culture. I think that they would be really great. And like. I don't know. I can think about it a little bit more. I know that I know like a bunch of like. And the thing is that I just don't know that a lot of people would want. Like it is just really high stakes, honestly, to like kind of come on, and you're just eat yourself up. And like students are like, I love my students. Students are very sensitive right now, and they've been through a lot with the pandemic. And they're paying a ton of money for their education, and they have some rightful grievances about how they're being taught and everything else. And it's not that I'm not I'm obviously very pro university, like speech and and allowing speech to happen.
Yeah.
But like, I just feel like a lot of people are and probably should be sensitive to what students are going through. And so like, I wouldn't blame them for not being excited to come on and talk about this. So
I think that's the level of thoughtfulness that we would want to see.
So I think I seriously think it's a great idea, and like having a really good discussion about this would be would be a really like constructive thing. I'm just like. It's a lot easier for me to come up with advocates, soft, non-CPAC type advocates of the idea that there's a problem than it is for me to come up with advocates of the thoughtful, non head in the sand advocates of the proposition that there isn't a problem. Right. That said, let me give it some thought.
No.
I do think it would be, among other things, it'd be a great excuse to have John McWhorter back, which he's been.
We had such a great. I thought the conversation was fantastic this week with him. I loved it.
The other side of the cancel culture thing that I think is really an interesting thing is that most people don't talk about the cancel culture on the right, where it is incredibly intense, and that it has, people talk about it as a creature of college campuses, but
what do you mean that basically the right cancels people
brutally and with extreme prejudice to their careers, livelihoods, and physical safety.
For instance, if you can.
Well, the people who voted, the House Republicans who voted against impeachment.
Okay, oh my, right, yes. What a disappointment you are to us and to God, right? The children of the immediate family members of Adam Kinzinger in a letter to their cousin, and the irony is that CPAC's conference this weekend is entitled Uncanceled America, and they canceled an invitation to somebody, mind you, somebody who was an extreme anti-Semite, and but they are actually a group of people who very aggressively cancel
Individuals all the time.
individuals all the time who stray from an orthodoxy. So I think there's a
Or they don't,
real
it's not even that they cancel them. I feel like they don't even let them in to begin with. Like, so there's that.
well, but
Like, they don't amplify, like, right? Like,
no, but when people stray, they kick them
cancel
out
them.
very aggressive. Like Mona Charon, my friend Mona, had to be physically escorted out of CPAC after she had the temerity to suggest that the right wing had a Me Too problem in the White House. Her physical
that doesn't
safe.
even seem that controversial.
No, it sure doesn't. And so I think there's a great conversation here to be had. I just think we need people who are willing to be, sort of not ideological and careful from all sides on it.
Yeah, I thought your show back in the summer with Jonathan Rausch and I've forgotten who else on the Harper's letter, I thought that was basically paradigmatic of what you would want.
Who did we have Jonathan talk? Was it Yasha that we had him talk with?
It was Jonathan and I forget who we had on the other side of it. That's
It wasn't
embarrassing.
Jamal. Was it Jamal?
No, but I mean
No.
Jamal would be an excellent
I mean, he
interlocutor for.
I also don't want to like tokenize Jamal as like the kind of like the person on the left that we bring in who's reasonable and like and goes and like regularly goes to bat with like kind of like people on this. I just like I feel like I don't know. I just don't want to. You know
I
what
agree
I mean?
with that.
Like I just like kind of like I feel he gets like I just feel like he's. If I was him, I would be very like. Well, I just know. Yeah.
Maybe we should bring a host of. Jack Sullivan is right. It was the guy from the New Republic who had written in criticism of the Harper's letter. It was somebody who.
And then like. Yes, and like Jamal and Matt Iglesias had recommended him to us. Yes,
that's right. I think what we should do is invite a bunch of people with interesting and diverse views on this subject, and maybe have it sort of more of a porridge than a bilateral. Yes, there is. No, there isn't. Thank you, Toy Tanks. It was Alex Shepard.
Yeah, Alex Shepard. I do.
And
remember.
It was somebody.
He was excellent.
It was somebody. Good. He was good. It was somebody on somebody else's recommendation, not somebody that either Kate or I.
We didn't
knew.
Directly know him. Yeah.
But that was a very good conversation.
I will say that like the thing that I've learned in the last year of doing the show is that like when we have more than 3 voices like you and me, Ben, unless we're totally willing to really take ourselves out of it, like it gets very cacophonous very fast.
Yep.
And like and that like there is some heavy-handedness that has to happen, and in an hour it's hard for people to spin their yarn and also kind of like
I see the knitting
question.
Reference.
Yeah,
like we're not suggesting that the guests should not wear pants.
I get money from this. Like apparently, I'm not sponsored. No, I don't get anything. But I do think that there is. I don't know. I do think that there is like, come on, like this. Like we've like remember when we first did the mystery guest thing, and it was just like
too many people. Yeah.
And it was just like crazy, and that was like. The one thing that we learned, everyone was excellent. It wasn't like they weren't quality guests. It was just like too many people and they didn't get to talk enough. Why are you holding up the Internationalist?
I know why.
Okay.
But so let's put down as a first
order of business is maybe something about university.
Yeah, cancel culture.
But specific to universities? Or do we want to open it up in general?
Let's just say we'll think about something we can do on that with the right sort of people who will have, and we'll let form follow function in
Oh,
terms
fuck.
of.
It's my mystery guest. I just realized
Yes,
it.
it's your
Oh,
mystery
God.
because I brought Deborah Copagan, so you top that.
That was, you like, no one, that was the best mystery guest that's ever happened. But anyway, that was amazing.
All
Sorry.
right, Christopher Argyris, I have a spin on your idea. So you give your idea, and then I'm going to make an adjustment.
All right. I was taking a page out of David Bott's and his background by actually providing a physical prop in my appearance here. So this is Scott Shapiro and Una Hathaway's book, which I mentioned before on the show because I think it's
It's a wonderful book.
amazing book, and we haven't. It was
Can I just point out that this is what Scott does in his day job when he's not doing the comedian thing? He actually writes real books.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, I
So
don't have legality behind me anymore.
people would
But
see a
oh,
different
man.
side of Scott. I think if he and this is actually not just a Pugilism Week thing, but maybe the only one that's actually been put to one of the people, because I did ask Scott if he would do a Pugilism Week.
So who is the
With Una?
opponent on?
Stephen
He wouldn't.
Stephen Wertheim, and apparently Scott said he's debated Stephen on this topic about whether by Scott's and Una Hathaway's analysis that wars of a certain kind have decreased substantially since World War II and since the 1928 Paris Peace Pact, and Stephen Wertheim in his appearance noted that wars have increased, and so it could be like a distinction without a difference in the way that the two of them are positing something, but it would be interesting to see them debate. And
Get out! No, you can't say debate. You have to say go at each other. You like the whole conceit here is violent confrontation in the octagon, the no holds barred octagon.
And this is also an opportunity to propose that Una Hathaway come on the show, because she has a new I think it's a USC law, that article about national security lawyers that she's been working on since she left the Pentagon in 2016. So it would be great to have her on and talk about this.
All right, so here's my variant on your idea as written was that we sub out Scott Shapiro for Ona Hathaway because we have never had Ona on the show. We've had Scott many times. I love Scott, but I kind of think the Scott Shapiro persona and In Lieu of Fun is a comic should be preserved as the comic persona, and we should have and we should see if Una wants to do it as and can represent the serious side of Scott Shapiro, so that we can preserve his persona in amber.
Okay, point taken.
Is that a friendly amendment?
Yeah, no, and if she could also at some point talk about her article, because I think it's a profound article. So
all right, I love that idea, and since this involves former guests,
I can ask Ona. That's totally fine.
Yes, send them a note and with Stephen and see if they're amenable. We can have in the red corner, and I will.
Ona would not be in any type of red corner.
Bum bum ba ba bum ba ba bum ba ba bum. Yeah, we're totally doing this. All right, excellent idea, Christopher. All right, who else has a Okay, Pauline has a suggestion involving a dispute I'm not sure I'm aware of. So I'm inviting her on to discuss this.
Ooh, it's been a while since we've seen Pauline. Hi, Pauline.
Hi.
Whoa,
Man,
I'm hearing
you're
myself now.
behind. But you're behind.
Yeah.
She's behind. There's a delay.
Yeah, there. It's
You're
gone.
not. It's totally fine. Hi.
It's gone. Hi.
So what is your idea here? And what is the dispute?
Tom Nichols, and well, you could do like every day with him and somebody else, but the one I thought of in particular was Charlie Pierce. They have this long-running thing going on Twitter where they fight about just about anything, whatever's on the news or certain foods or just whatever.
That sounds perfect. So it's just like
yeah.
it's just like
Charlie Pierce and
it's a
Tom
thing that they
This would be good. We could like come up with a list of things. We were like lettuce, yes
Yeah,
or no,
anything.
and then they could be like, bah!
It's their shtick.
Be like, who hates lettuce?
I
Like,
love
what's
this
going on?
shtick.
Yeah.
So they have a dispute, like they just have a personality
Yeah.
shtick that they fight with each other.
Yeah.
Oh, we're totally doing that.
Yeah.
That's
it's
a really
it's
good idea. We
lighthearted,
cannot get
but-
Tom Nichols every day because Tom Nichols has a life, unlike us.
And there was
that would be
somebody once like suggested that they should do a podcast or something, and Tom said something like nobody could handle us. So I think you guys could handle them.
I think this is brilliant. I've never my big notice on Tom Nichols and pugilism, other than that he fights with everybody, as you say, is that he's obsessed with criticizing. He's obsessed with fighting people about shoes on airplanes,
Right.
which is, mind you, an issue that has not been especially salient of late. But I did once, in honor of that, show up in flip-flops at MSNBC because I knew Tom Nichols was going to be there. And
I want to say, Pauline, that I feel like Pauline could be the oppositional guest to anyone who's come at me on Twitter, because Pauline is like, I will fight your Kate.
Yes,
I will fight this guy.
Speaking of which, KK, who are you challenging to a brawl for Pugilism Week? I think both of us need.
I would take on Matt Stoller or like Zainab Tufekci anytime.
So
any
tweet
day.
at them.
I have. They ignore me. I'm like a little gnat. I'm a 20,000 follower gnat.
Wait, have you tweeted at Zainab, I challenge you to a debate on Pugilism Week on In Lieu of Fun?
No, but I have invited her on In Lieu of Fun specifically to come.
Well, here's what you should do. Tweet that right now. Matt Stoller is too much of a
I know.
desiccated prune.
We all know.
But if you tweet that about Zainab, then everybody who is watching, I don't know how it's pronounced.
Zainab?
I assume it's Zainab because it's Turkish, isn't it?
It is Turkish, but I always thought that it. Okay, well,
then we have
no idea ever with these things,
150,
obviously.
200 people who will immediately retweet it. So go do that, and we're gonna. And I love this Tom Nichols idea. So we're gonna make that happen.
So wait, are we like completely committing to Pugilism Week?
I don't know. Are we?
I mean, we don't have anyone for next week yet planned, and I don't have a mystery guest.
Well, the mystery guest is totally your problem.
I know. I think I might have someone to beat you, but I want to see. I might be able to have someone pretty awesome.
Okay,
we'll see.
David Chandler here has a remarkable idea. Oh, and we have some great ideas here. I'm just bringing people on to talk about their ideas here.
Am I going to bring my dad on? Petra, no.
Okay.
Not my dad.
The Reverend Dr. Hillary Livingston, I presume you have an awesome idea for Pugilism Week.
Yes. Okay. Let me just look at
I just
my
want to
notes.
say, hold on. While you look at your notes, I'm going to give you a compliment, which is that every time we like come in on you sometimes your screen is a little bit fuzzy, but like your eyes, which are insanely blue, like are always very blue. And just kind of like very, anyways, they're very beautiful in the, like on the screen.
Thank
And I'm
you.
like, oh, there's like a fuzzy Hillary and her beautiful blue eyes.
Thank you. Yeah, that's my less than optimal webcam camera, but what are you going to do? So my pugilism idea was Clubhouse, yay or nay?
Oh, nay.
And I have no idea who would. I don't have an opinion on it because I'm not up on all the coolest platforms. So you'd have to find people to do it. But that's
and listening to people talk about Clubhouse, I had the best idea for a social media site, which was that you follow people who you never want to hear speak. And the benefit of following them is that you never have to hear them talk. And it's the opposite of Clubhouse, where you follow people who you want to hear their voices. You know, this would be like if I could follow, Glenn Greenwald, and I would just never have to hear anything from him.
You would just have like a hate follow? Like
no, it's not a hate. It's not an expression of hate. It's just like I don't have to hear him. It would like go through all the social media and media sites and make sure I never heard anything from him. If I'm watching television, the television goes off when he comes on, and it would be it's the opposite of Clubhouse.
Yes, it is certainly. No, I don't think you understand how Clubhouse works.
Sam Butler, it is not like the block button. The block button is on
not
Twitter.
The block button
I'm talking about I never want to hear their voice. Yeah, I don't want to see articles by them. I don't want to have them DM me on any platform. And I want, if I stumble upon them on some, like at a think tank event, I'm shielded from them. And it's like a block button that exists in life. That's the social media site I want. Exactly, Joe Peters. I want to cancel him, but only from my own life.
So I just want to say that there was like this moment that I had this feeling that you're having, but it was with an ex-boyfriend that I had been dating for a while, and he was a well-known comedian, and he was on the cover of New York Magazine, and I was like 24 or 25, and we had broken up, and he had like done so unceremoniously and with no like explanation or anything else, and had just disappeared. And then like literally the next week, I like went to get my mail out of like my thing, and there was like the fucking New York Magazine with his face.
See, wouldn't you have liked a social media side that says it would be an unfollow button, and that person is just removed from your life and consciousness. I think this is a.
But I'm just gonna say that. Wait. The dog is digging through some pile of crap. Anyway, but basically my point is like, Ben, there will always be, until print totally dies, some newsstand you're going to walk by and you're going to see somebody's name, and no one can protect you from that.
This is why this is a fantasy social media site. I just want, I want a social media. It's an anti-social media, really, where I can remove people from my consciousness and from my media entirely, and they can remove me from. It's not a one-way street. Marcy Wheeler can unfollow me, and I just don't exist to her after that. To cite
Wait, is that Empty Wheel?
Yeah, she doesn't like me very much.
Whatever.
That's important. I just think this is what Silicon Valley needs to be working on, instead of Clubhouse, which is, I was talking about this with Ave the other day. Instead of like where you follow people and hear their voices all the time, which is like, that's not what I need in my life, is more conference calls. I need the site should be called You'reDeadToMe.com. And you just like, and then if you decide, and
I think Colleen just got in the "You're Dead to Me" button. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
True. he wasn't that big a jerk. I just want to say he just like kind of stopped, like after 6 months of like actively dating, just like went to LA and then stopped answering.
Are you going to name
texts.
him?
It was Dimitri Martin. I've talked about him before.
All right, there
He's
you go.
like not that big a deal anymore. But anyways, like, yeah, no, he was like a real jerk. Like he just goes, I found out that he did this to a bunch of women actually after the fact, but it's like he didn't do anything more than just fail to have controversy with like a bunch of people. It wasn't that it wasn't that bad. He wasn't a bad person, but I was like sore about it and kind of sad. And like when his like face appeared on my like on this magazine, I was like, God damn it, like this sucks. Imagine how like it gave me a lot of empathy for how like celebrities live their lives. Like what a weird crucible that they must be in to constantly kind of have to like not be able to live out in the real world. Even if they want to kind of shake off the shackles of all of their celebrity and everything, they'd have to confront those types of things and it would be terrible.
All right, so Richard Wattenbarger with the hard G points out that yourdeadtome.com is available for only $2,095. I hereby license to anybody who wants for free, not even a one of those.
Maybe we could do a GoFundMe and get this.
I will
buy the license thing.
This is a great idea. Somebody is going to make a lot of money on that.
I mean, until people start dying, and then it becomes awkward.
I will take no finder's fee, no creator's fee. I just want somebody to develop this site so that I can use it. Robin W., your idea for Pugilism Week.
Hi, you guys. Good to see you both, and
good to see you.
Hi to the Greek chorus. Thanks. I actually put 3 down. So
I'm trying to remember which one to go to. Which one was the one that caused? I think it was the first one that caused me to bring you on. Wait. Oh, it was the second one, the one involving Sarah, friend of the show, Sarah Longwell.
That was the second one I put down, but that would be my first choice. Would be versus Frank Luntz.
And what would it be over?
I'm curious about how they would duel on focus groups.
Do they disagree on focus groups?
I don't know that they do. I don't know that they don't. I actually just like them both, and maybe it's just more of a
I love Sarah so much. She's such.
I recorded my first episode of the French Village podcast with Sarah on Friday. And
Robin, are you watching that show?
I'm watching.
Did you miss this episode? Sorry.
Which one?
It's called A French Village.
Oh yeah, no, I saw that episode. So you did record the first episode?
We recorded the first episode on Friday. It will be out as soon as the Bulwark finishes figuring out how they're going to produce it. And
I actually had a question on that episode that you guys did. Do you know if Sarah watched all of the episodes?
Yes, she's watched the whole show and is rewatching it in order to do the podcast.
The podcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's an endorsement of all endorsements. I mean, I would love to hear your first episode.
Well, it will be out in the next few days, I think.
I'm excited.
I have a request then. I mean, since you're in contact with her, why don't you ask her what her thoughts about Frank Luntz are?
I will send her a text with a suggestion that she versus Frank Luntz has been requested by the audience for Pugilism Week, and I will give her 3 options. One is that we can get Frank Luntz, try to get Frank Luntz to duke it out with her. The second is if she thinks they don't disagree about enough, and she has somebody that she really wants to body slam, we can invite somebody else instead. But and the third is she can duck the whole thing and not defend her title. And so those are the Sarah Longwell options. I'd like to have her on with Jonathan last, so they can air all their grievances against each other.
And the Appalachian Trail thing was that.
Yeah, they can fight about whether they're going to hike the Appalachian Trail together.
And who's going to throw who off first.
Exactly, who's going to vote each other off the trail.
I mostly think who's going to get an Argentinian lover before the other.
That's
like an equal, like, I mean, like, I feel like the Appalachian Trail is very long, and there are lots of Argentinians. And so, like, you could, like, very conceivably find an Argentinian lover before you could finish the AD.
It's true. So, David Chandler, you are not showing up. Oh, there you are. You are, and you have an idea as well.
I do, as a matter of fact.
Go for it.
Can you hear me?
Yes?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Very good. I would like very much for Scott Shapiro to have an internal debate with himself. That's what I would like.
On any particular subject?
It doesn't matter with him. It really doesn't.
I love this idea.
I mean, water is wet. Let's do that.
I think he should just debate the merits of the trolley problem.
David Chandler, that is
Correct.
A great idea.
We could do that. That would be great.
I really actually think we could do a really fun, like, so Ben, remember when I used to like I only did it like twice. Like there was the one time when I hosted and you were unable, and I have a picture of myself and it looks like kind of a Rorschach ink blot test, and I'm like looking at myself, and like there's a line down the middle of the screen, and like I'm looking at myself this way and the other one's looking at me this way,
yes.
and I'm just kind of like coming in from two accounts. We should like give like Scott that type of like permissions, and then he could just like have the conversation, and it would be fucking hilarious.
I think this is a great idea.
Just an internal debate.
The Scott Shapiro, the Scott Shapiro v. Scott Shapiro debate, and
Just put on a different hat or something every time he wants to be debating the other side, or like a mustache, or like it would be great.
All right, we're
it's going to happen anyway. So, it's going to happen anyway, so it might as well be public, right?
Don't you think it's already happening?
So, Scott this is going to happen. Thank you, David. And
that was great. That was a great suggestion.
So,
David,
let's see if there's any more so the other thing is
we're at 5:55 already. Holy
yeah, we got to wrap up.
Okay.
So the question is, who should I challenge to a debate? And don't tell me Glenn Greenwald.
Well, it really depends on what you want to debate, Ben.
David Botts, no, I don't want You Are Dead to Us, dead to me.us. Thank you, though, because the truth of the matter is I am not going to develop this site. I want Mark Zuckerberg to develop this site. I want Jack Dorsey to develop this site. I want youaredeadtome.com. It's actually really interesting. I'm going to like have a real nerd out moment. Sorry, Ben. I was just talking with Daphne Keller, and we had her on to discuss like all of like the internet jurisdiction issues around .france, .canada, .us, .whatever. And like the thing is like all of those are just such like basically essential bullshit in a global market. Like you just really need to have the .com like URL. So like I will totally challenge Mike Pompeo to a debate about fudge. But what? I don't think that's realistic.
You mean his fudge recipe thing? Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't think that it's likely to.
You need a fight about chainsaws. You need a fight about hammocks. You could be in a fight.
Who's anti-hammock?
Like there are a lot of like pandas are anti-hammock. Have you seen some of the pandas that try to sit in hammocks? I mean, they're adorable, but they fucking hate them. They're just like they're not good at it. And then we could have, anyways, so we could have, let's see, we could have, there's like a whole bunch of things that Ben is anti.
Okay.
Ben is pro whiskey. People could be anti whiskey.
So wait, hang on. Alice Lee has an idea here, which is a knockdown, drag out brawl with Lovett about time.
But he won't respond to you.
I am ready to have this debate at any time.
Do you want me to go at him too? Because
So,
I'm trying to go at him too.
If people want to start adding Lovett about ducking the debate with me about time reform,
I can also try to work around.
No, he totally
populist means.
He totally knows this that I've challenged him because he's DM'd me about it. He just keeps. He just keeps. So y'all tell Lovett that he needs to put up or shut up on the time reform stuff.
That's a good thing. Let's stick all of our followers on this innocent person about universal time.
Yes, exactly.
That sounds good. That's a good use for your Saturday night.
Tell him that he is the Joe Manchin of time reform, because he is, and like that. If he were really interested in big, bold time proposals, he would actually show up.
I just want to thank all of you for being our flying monkeys. Oh God. Poor John Lovett is like sitting down to dinner with his family.
Yeah, his family is Ronan Farrow. He's.
I know. What? So that doesn't mean it's not a family. Like it's just like it's kind of like I think that there is like a certain amount of I don't know. I think that this would be fun, but yeah, we could totally make this happen. I mean, also, do you have a very I just want to be sure that you're prepared if you take this on. You have a very fleshed out understanding of like what it would mean to have universal time.
I am so prepared to have this debate.
Okay.
Because actually, this is a subject that is simple. It's there is no downside to what I'm proposing. There's just culture.
Oh yeah, that little thing called human beings.
No, this is just silly. It is this weird expectation we have that 7:00 a.m. is the morning roughly, and that 7:00 p.m. is roughly dinner time, and the only thing that we have to support this is that prior to the invention of railroads, speaking of railroads and monopolies, every community had their own time. Railroads caused time to standardize. Now it's time we're on effectively all communicating with each other all over the world all the time. There's no reason why we shouldn't have a standard time. There you go.
I agree with you.
Anyway.
I mean, like, you know that I agree with you. I'm just like, I also think that it is, I think that this particular aspect of culture has, well, it is, I will say that in the current iteration of how the universe works, and it's very interesting because we've never talked about this specifically, but like I have an assistant that works in the Philippines. And all of the work that she does for me, she does after I go to bed. And when I wake up in the morning, it's all done. Like, I don't expect her to do it, like, during the day. And, like, I pay her a U.S. wage, like a plus U.S. wage. Like, I pay her far more than she'd normally even get in the U.S. But she gets that and she does all of this work. And John has recently commented to me that, like, basically this is, like, this fascinating moment of, like, how if I had a U.S. assistant, I wouldn't be able to count on them doing all of this work in the 8 hours that I give them.
Now, all I am saying,
during the day,
KK, is wouldn't it be convenient if she could say to you, this'll be in your email inbox when you wake up at X
that's what she
o'clock.
does.
And X o'clock would be the same for you and for her.
Yes.
And that'll
I
be
do
around the
actually
time that she'll go to bed.
What I'm saying to you is that we already work like that. Like she and I already work like that.
No.
That is essentially how we work. We don't even talk about time. We don't even talk about hours. Like we're just like, she's like, when you wake up, she knows when I wake up. She's like, when you wake up, this will be done. And when you like, and I'm like, when I go to bed, she knows when I go to bed. And like, that is like, that's it. And it's just like, and she does things and like, I don't know when she makes all of her own hours because she has to be working for a million different people, like all at the same time. And like, I just kind of try to, like, I just think it's a fascinating, like, I think that in particular, like that one example is like a really wonderful example of like what we expect from of the globalization of the workforce, the visibility of the globalization of the workforce, and like how we kind of use it. And I think that, like, I don't know, sorry, not to like co-opt this, but like I think that your conversation with John Lovett is about that. Like I think that like there is a, like it's not just that we're on some type of industrial clock anymore. We don't need that anymore. That's complete bullshit. Like that this is like I'm in your camp.
Here is from now on. We are using Greenwich Mean Time on this show.
Fuck that. What? Okay, well, whatever.
And that is not to say that I believe that Universal Time should be Greenwich Mean Time, because there's something Eurocentric about this. I'd be perfectly happy for it to be the International Dateline. But right now, this is the only Universal Time we've got. And so we will be back tomorrow, exactly 22 hours and 57 minutes from now at 2200 Zulu Greenwich Mean Time with Kate's mystery guest. Who's that going to be, Kate? And until then, and I will get to work on setting up these conversations, battles royale. And until then, we don't have fun anymore. But John Lovett's really not going to have fun if he comes on the show for this battle. But in lieu of fun...
Ben, maybe you should, like, butter him up a little more.
No! He's been ducking this debate.
Okay, I'm just saying, I would not want to be like, yes, I'm going to get a thrashing on a show. And, like, that seems like fun to me. So, like, just saying.
Well, okay. You have less, masochistic instincts than Lovett may. I think Lovett's kind of with you, by the way, because he has been avoiding this for a while. We don't have fun anymore, but we still do have Pugilism Week. And it is starting exactly 2 days from now.
Oh, God.
Bye.
Bye, Ben.